Okay. Yep.
This is Jana Faison with Jana Sells Georgia, powered by Century 21 on my second podcast. And we're on location. Not really, I'm at home. Usually I'm in the studio, but life be lifing, so I'm at home. So I have my second guest for the podcast, and I'm going to allow her to introduce herself.
Ooh, well, first, thank you so much for having me on. My name is Keshana Gresham. I am a mortgage broker with Elite Lending Solutions. I have been in the industry almost 10 years now, full time. Never did it part time. Just jumped in the water with the sharks and became a dolphin. I like to tell people I'm a dolphin because dolphins are so lovely and friendly. But if they have to attack, they will attack, and they're very brutal when they attack. You'll know not to attack a dolphin again. So I like to call myself a dolphin. So I started out when I first was doing it as an assistant and building my business, and I processed as well. So I have a different, more mindset than most loan officers or mortgage brokers as they start off. I am a very, very, very detailed loan officer. Probably a little OCD, probably, if I'm being completely honest with myself. But it's helped my clients. Been doing this a long time, and no one has lost earnest money due to financing with me. Knock on wood, won't he do it? So,
can I just say something about that? Can I tell you about a nightmare? I had a client that lost everything and earnest money because of a roof situation. The roof was 15 years old, and they decided that 3 days before they were going to close on that contract to pull out, the insurance company pulled out.
no.
I was devastated, as if it would happen to me. That's how much I love my clients.
Was it your listing or a buyer?
It was a buyer.
Oh, no. Oh, goodness. I can only imagine, because it's really no one's fault in
No,
the transaction, you know?
they're going to have to come up with some sort of insurance clause. I'm sure NAR will start doing that, because there's got to be an insurance clause now, because it's nothing I could have done. It's nothing I could have told them. So I definitely understand about that. Okay, go ahead. That was just a sad part.
Oh, you're good. No, that's we see a lot of those. We have a lot of stories, things that you won't believe unless you're in real estate with us. It is the interesting things I saw over almost 10 years. So the reason I became a loan officer is I was buying my own house. I was in my 20s, newly engaged, getting married, and I didn't really care for a wedding. That wasn't really my big thing. Some women dream about it, fantasize it. I'm not that girl. I'm the one like, okay, want to get married, but we can go to the courthouse. I'm cool with that. So I was like, we're talking about it, and I was like, well, I don't really need a wedding, honey. Like, I'm okay with you just walking me into a house as Mrs. Gresham. I think that's better. That starts to build well for our family. We're going to have children. We already had 2 children ourselves. So we're like, we can start building wealth now. We're young. Let's, be smart about this. And he was like, all right, cool. So we went under contract. Let me tell y'all, our process was probably the most stressful. I can't tell you how many times I cried. It took us 6 months to find our house. And our house, we were looking for it right after the market crash. So it was just starting to come back, but it was still low enough where there were so many investors buying cash. And we didn't have a huge budget at that time. So we were losing left and right due to the price point. It was like, oh God, like, we're never going to find a house. You got outbid. You got outbid. Oh my God. Okay. This last one, I was like, look, we won't get this. I need a break. And we end up getting it. We did have to bid over at that time. That was a big thing back then. We did bid over, and it was crazy because I didn't think we would actually get it. And our agent was like, yeah, y'all won. We were like, really? Okay. It was meant for us then, because I really meant when I said I'm going to take a break.
Okay.
So we go into contract. We were supposed to close by Thanksgiving. So it was going to be perfect. We could move in at Thanksgiving in the house. Thanksgiving passes. We're not closed. Okay. Things happen. No big deal. Christmas comes. We're still not in. Oh, yeah. Am I at another layer? It was a HUD home.
Oh.
So you only get a certain amount of times before HUD says, we're done.
We're done.
And back in that day, HUD used to make you pay for extensions.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so we had to pay like almost $1,000 for a 15-day extension, like 2-3 times. But you only get up to like 3.
Okay.
So the first one, they were nice. They gave us the money back the first time.
Okay.
You know, like, okay, you know, if you're closing by this time, we'll give it back. Christmas comes, we're still not closed.
Oh,
so I'm
no.
like, okay, what's going on? So I called the loan officer. Mind you, I'm not in the business, but I have a sister-in-law at that time who was. So I called the loan officer first, like, tell me what's going on. I give you what you need immediately. Like, I'm one of those people. Like, you ask for something, get it off my plate. So what is going on, sir? Like, I know we're not buying no fancy house. Our house was really cheap. So, you know, I'm like, what is going on? And he couldn't really explain it to me, or he tried to use the big word terms. So I said, okay, no biggie. Call my sister. I said, hold on 1 second. Maybe I just don't understand you. So I put my sister on the line, who was a loan officer, and she starts grilling him. And he hangs up. I'm not even joking. He hung up.
No.
Oh, yeah, he did. He hung up.
No, he didn't.
So I was like, so I'm asking my sister, why? She said, because I called him. He was lying. I don't know if you're going to get closed with him. I would advise you to get another loan officer. So we call our agent, tell him what happened. Finds us another loan officer. That loan officer, mind you, by that time, New Year's is coming up. So we're not even going to close on New Year's.
Oh.
He gets our file like the day after New Year's. He closes our file in 2 weeks. Because I was like, we don't have much more time. They're about to take the house from us and we're going to lose our money. Like, this is not, I was like stressed. So he closed it and I'm like, mind you, we've been with this other guy almost 60, 90 days. What are you doing that's just so special? And he was so sweet, customer service based, through all our emotions, was empathetic, not sympathetic, but empathetic so he could do his job.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And I was in the process then thinking about changing careers. Because at that time, I used to be a garnishment specialist. I worked for a big staffing agency, and I used to garnish everyone's wages. So when my phone rang, nobody wanted to talk to me. Nobody was nice to me. And I was getting tired of it. And I was like, all right, what am I going to do? And my husband said, I think this would be perfect for you. Being a loan officer. I was like, in my heart and spirit, I was like, wait a minute. Commission based.
Commission based, child.
I never did sales. They always had a, secure job. It was, no, I'm not ready for this. I am not prepared. But he's like, no, you can do it. Like, you were so passionate. You researched, you found this. So I was like, okay. Then we end up getting married during the process. And then right before we closed on our house, I was like, all right, my job was like working my nerves. And I was like, okay, maybe I should just look it up and see what it takes. So we closed January 15th.
Okay.
And I said, okay, we move in, we're married. December, we got married. January, we closed. February, I found out I was pregnant with our child.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, now I'm pregnant. I'm still at this job. Don't like it. What are we going to do? Like, I don't want to do this. This is going to be too stressful for me and the baby. Maybe we should look into the loan officer thing. So I looked into it, looked it up. I said, oh, I just got to take a test, this and that. So while I'm at this other job, I do my education, my 20 hours, sign up for my test. I failed the test by 1 point.
Oh, Lord.
Let me just tell people, don't let that discourage you. By 1 point. When my test results came out, the girl was like, I wish I could just give you a point.
I know.
Our test. And I'm like, I was like, how they asked the question, I'm second guessing. Like, I feel like they came back with the question, but I probably said it. But you got to wait 30 days. You can't take it right away.
Okay.
So I waited 30 days and I really honed in, studied. Took the test 30 days later to the dot, 30 days. Passed it. And I said, okay, now we got our thing. We need sponsorship. We need to work for someone.
Mm-hmm.
So I called the loan officer who closed my home.
Okay.
And he was like, you know, I guess he's used to people asking him, and he was ready for his spiel. Oh, you got to get your, I said, no, sir. I already took my education. I already passed my test. I just need sponsorship. And he was like, say that again? I was like, no, I already took my education, the 20 hours. I took the SAFE test, passed it. I just need a company to sponsor me. He said, I've been doing this over 10 years. No one has ever told me that.
Wow.
So I'm going to do it better. You could be a loan officer on my team, but you could be my assistant so you can learn while you're building. So at least you'll have some money coming in as you build. And I was like, oh, really?
Look how God just worked that out. He'll do it.
Love to do that. And I learned so much.
Wow.
With him as his assistant because he was producing.
Mm-hmm.
But within being his assistant, because he kind of just, you know, some people are teachers like teaching you, and some just, you're going to go with
the
you're
on up there.
He put me with a little, he gave me the little, what's the little donut? Which, my donut was the processor at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh my gosh, like, you want me to, he was like, yeah, you need to do all this, take over. Okay. So we swimming in the water, we going in circles, we paddling, we going left, we going right. But the processor, love her to death to this day, taught me everything that I knew, because she was like, look, if you want to be a loan officer and you want to be a great one, you need to know how to process your file. You need to know and have the eye of what the underwriter's going to look at. And that's what underwriters do. They set it up. So the underwriter like, okay, I got the story. Here's the story. I'm telling you the story. We should stay on the story. Don't ask me for nothing outside the story. My story is solid. It's locked. Don't ask nothing else. Nope, that's not the rule. So she taught me that, and I was actually processing the files for a few months and being consistent. But he also had me talking to his agents, his clients. Like, he just, so within a year being his assistant, his business doubled. It doubled. They got to the point they were speaking to me and like, hey, so-and-so's not answering, or I'm just going to call you. And it's like, okay, no problem. But I decided on my own, like, if I could build him and make him money like this, I could do this myself. I was so scared. I was like, I can do this though. If this is what it really is, I can do this. I'm all about customer service. I'm smart enough to put a file together. I got experience. I know I'm learning what underwriters need. Let's go for it. So I tell him, probably like a year and a half, I was his assistant. And I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And he was like, you sure? You know, I loved it. I mean, I don't blame him. I would love to keep me there too. Offered me the money, and I was like, no. In the words of Master P, if you're willing to give me $1 million, I'm worth 100. So we gonna do this on our own. I appreciate you. He said you can still stay at the, our branch, but if you decide it's too hard, you can always come back. Now the Aries competitive in me. When he said that, I said, "Who coming back? Are you trying to say you think I'm gonna fail? Watch me." So it got hard, but I did not give up. I was consistent. And even then, when I decided to leave, his agents and clients were like, no, well, we want to work with you. I am no thief. Y'all work with me. You do your thing. If you have any teammates who need help, have them reach out to me. We'll figure it out from there. I'm a firm believer, and you've been in this industry, so you know. Unfortunately, everyone doesn't have ethics and morals. I do. I don't think stealing, or even if I was doing it, whatever, I don't think that's right. That's just bad karma. And karma always comes back. Whatever you believe out, it comes back. Whatever religion, they all teach you. What you put out is what you get back. So with doing that, I closed like, starting on my own in only 6 months, closed about $1 million. And he was shocked. I was shocked.
Wow.
Oh my God, I closed $1 million in loans? Like, what? I'm ready for this. Let's get this going.
Okay.
So I grew every year. And I eventually ended up leaving, working with him. But I'm still in touch with him. He was I always tell people I'm grateful and thankful for the opportunity he gave me, because a lot of people didn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
So to this day, support. He seemed like, good, you're doing your thing. Awesome. That's great. Liking stuff. So it wasn't, on bad terms. I'm not that person. If I feel like this not working for me, I'm honest, open, and I'm professional through and through.
So how long have you been in business for yourself?
Ooh, so 8 years.
8 years. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Been doing it myself. Now I'm going to speak it out because I'm holding myself accountable. I'm putting it on the platform.
Okay.
That I'll be working a team. And I want to get more loan officers opportunity to do what I do. And,
so can you tell us what you do? What is a loan officer?
So a loan officer, you might hear loan officer, banking loan officer, mortgage broker, whatever it is, it's all the same thing. So if you hear it, it's just different channels. But what we do is we look at your file, we create this file because you want to be a homeowner. We want to make sure we do everything within the rules and within ethics and morals and compliance to help you become a homeowner. So that means we look at your credit, we look at your income, your assets, we put it all together, tell the story, like I was saying, make sure your credits, tighten, the income's tighten, the documents are tight, and we send this and we have a processor process the file, and then the main person who helps us get that final approval is the judge, jury, and executioner is the underwriter. They work for the people hating them, but I'm gonna stick up. I'm gonna stick beside my operation. Okay. Don't be mad at underwriters. Trust me, I get it. I have some that give me a hard time, but that'd be another story of what they have to deal with. So it's a whole process. It's a process in itself. But as a loan officer, we're here. You tell me I want to be a homeowner. It's my job to make you a homeowner and make it make sense and communicate it effectively to the bank or lender.
Mrs. Gresham, I'm coming in. I need to, these conversations was not happening at my table when I was young, but I have in my heart, I want a house. So this is my buyer agent and I need a house. What do I need to do?
First steps first, the first line of defense, you got to fill out an application.
Okay.
When you do the application, be as thorough and honest as possible. I get it. There's a saying in our industry, and people get offended, but I explain why. You'll hear people in our industry say buyers are liars. Now, let me explain it, because it's true. But it's not in a negative way that people think. The reason that that's said is people want the home, so they're going to try to omit or not put information in that they think will hinder that. When in actuality, you want to be honest up front. The more honest and upfront you are, the more likely you are to become a homeowner. Because if you hide things, and down the line, the judge, jury, executioner, aka underwriter, catches it, tells me I'm a deer in headlights. It could kill your whole deal. You cannot become a homeowner. Versus if you told me up front, I could have been your Johnny Cochran and got ahead of the game.
Right.
And told the story.
So I got to be honest on my application. Then what do I have to do?
Just be honest first. It's okay. No one's expected to be perfect. No one buying a house is perfection because it doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
Once you complete the application, the next line of defense is I'm going to pull your credit.
Okay.
I'm going to look at your
credit. But they already
thoroughly.
pulled my credit. When I did pre-qualification, they already pulled my credit. Why are you doing it again?
Because legally, other companies cannot share your credit profile. That is illegal. So because bank and I'm a different company, I have to pull it to have your credit myself. Even if I knew the other loan officer, they can't give me your pertinent information. That's against the law. So I have to see it. And I tell my clients, if you have someone pull, let me know how many people have pulled it in the last 30 days, because that does affect your actual credit score. And I tell people don't have no more than 2, 3 tops.
Mm-hmm. In 30 days.
Yes, max. And I would say, honestly, within 2 weeks.
Okay.
People say 30 days, but realistically, within 2 weeks, if you're trying to buy a house, fine. I say do 2. And I say 2 because after the third one, it's like, okay, if these 2 didn't work and there might be a possibility, the third one, have an open conversation first before they pull the truth as to why and find out why you weren't approved before and see if it's even, because there is sometimes there are times the charm. I've had people get denied other places and it's just simple for me.
Okay.
You know?
So now you want to check my credit again.
Yes.
I did the application. You check my credit again. What's the process like? What am I waiting for?
Okay, so now I checked your credit. If your credit is where I need it to be, the next thing I'm gonna do is look at your documents and determine your income.
What does my credit need to look like?
I would tell people the minimum threshold is 640.
640.
Yeah. Now you can do below. It's possible. However, if you're going below that 640 threshold, you're gonna have to have some shmoney. In the words of Cardi B. Have some shmoney. You gotta have some shmoney sitting around. So I'm just being real with y'all. I'm gonna be honest. Have some shmoney. 640, you still need money, but below 640, shmoney. All right. So then I look at your stuff. I look at your income, your documents that you send me. I determine your gross, because what we do it off is your gross monthly income.
Which is always good when you're trying to qualify.
But you always got to remember, we qualified you on your gross. So when you're getting this mortgage, have in your mind, this is before. Now, this is not after taxes. And when I get my 401k contribution, my insurance, I got utilities, I got credit core. Remember those things. So I tell people, don't go to the top of your budget. Tell me realistically your comfortable budget that you can do and still be able to have a life. Because as we know, life be life.
And we do not want to be house poor.
And we don't want to be where I miss one day at work, I can't pay my mortgage.
No, definitely don't do that.
So we look at that. We look at your income. I determine your income. And depending on your credit score, I'll know which loan program to look at, because then I have to look at your debt to income ratio. Because depending on your credit score, there's different programs that I can qualify you for. And they have their own debt to income ratio maxes.
What is debt to income ratio? I mean, what is that about?
So what it is I take your income. It takes a certain percentage depending on the loan program. And then after we do that, so let's do an example. Say you make $5,000 a month. Let's say the program is 50%, the max budget.
Okay.
I usually will do, or say 55. I usually leave a room of 5%. So I'll just take you to 50, because you never know when you start for houses. That's another part of it. But at 50, that's 2,500 of your $5,000. Now, after I do that, I have to subtract all your monthly liabilities and obligations that's on your credit report. So your minimum credit card payments, your car notes, student loan monthly payments, installments. So I got 2,500, but let's say all your debts are 500. I take that 2,500, subtract the 500, because those are your monthly obligations. I have $2,000 left. That's what I have to play with in order to determine your purchase price of your home. So that's the debt to income ratio. So I tell people, if the program, a lot of people will take you to your max. If the program is 50, put yourself at 45. Because there's a lot of things when you go under contract that you're not even aware of that can change. And if you're already at the max, it can keep you from qualifying. So I like to have a little cushion.
So from the time of application to what you figured out, what program I'm going into, how much approximate time will go back?
So if you are working for an employer and you receive a W-2 or a 1099, I would say about 48 to 72 hours.
Okay, that's good.
But if you're like self-employed, we really got to look at these tax returns, break it down, or even a bank statement loan where I got to look at 12 or 24 months of your bank statements. I give 6 hours, because for me, can't speak for everybody, but for me, I want to be 110% correct on your income. So what
Okay.
I'll do, if you're self-employed, I'll have an underwriter calculate your income.
Okay.
So I know it's real. Because if they, if they give it to me and then I take it back to them and you go under contract, they say, no, I got Teflon bullets in my gun. You calculated the income. This is what you based it off of.
Mm-hmm. So how long do we have to be on our jobs?
You want to have a 2-year work history. Now,
Okay.
it doesn't mean you necessarily have to be at the same job.
Right.
As long as you're in that same field for 2 years, you're good. And when I say same field, like if you get a W-2 at the end of every year, stay with that W-2 for 2 years. You're a 1099. You want to stay for 2 years, that's fine. Now, exception to the rule with 1099s, if you end up in the same work field and want to go to W-2, that's fine. But you don't want to go the way. You don't want to be a W-2 and go 1099 because then you restart the whole clock of needing 2 years.
No. Don't do that, y'all. Stay where you at till you get what you want.
Yep. And then if you're self-employed, 2 years.
2 years.
In certain cases, they'll do 1 year, but you want 2 years because that exception to the rule of 1 year for self-employed, you had to be in business for 5 years.
5 years.
5 that I can document, which is your LLC.
You got to have LLC. Moving right along, because we running out of time, because we sitting here talking and running out of time. But so we have gotten to that point. I'm good. Everything checks out. You give me a budget, I go shop, right? Okay, as I'm shopping, I find a house I want. They accept it. What's next for loan on the loan side?
So what we do then is we get your contract, and depending on the time frame, we have what I'll do is introduce you. I'll introduce myself, my processor, my team that's going to help me get you to the table, and introduce myself to not just only to you and my team, but to everyone involved in the transaction, the buyer side, the agent, and the listing agent. So everyone knows.
Does it take the process from the contract to close? How long does it take on your side?
That can take 2 weeks. On average, I close in 14 to 17 days. Unless there's something wrong with appraisal and title, it can take longer. But on average for me, 14 to 17 days.
Would you say that it's better on new constructions than established houses?
It depends. I can't just give a yes or no. It truly depends on your situation and what you're truly looking for. That'd be a whole.
In the last 5 minutes, I want you to tell us about all your programs that you have available.
Okay, so I have the normal programs, which is FHA, VA, conventional, USDA as well. Also, because I'm on the wholesale broker side, I have a lot of niche programs. So I have a primary residence, no income loan.
Talk about that, because that got my mind going. So tell me about that one.
So that one, as you heard, yes, it's no income. So what we do is you have to have a strong credit profile, 740 minimum. And with that, we don't use your income. The interest rate, just a disclaimer, will be higher than the normal programs, but you got to put a minimum of 20% down as well. So that's why they feel comfortable. With the risk factors, they know, according to data, if you have that type of credit profile and put that much down, you're least likely to let that home go. So with that, we just got to do appraisal title, make sure your credit's good, and we off to the races.
Why would we go with that program?
If we are self-employed, or we just do a lot of write-offs on our taxes, or we just don't, as far as a W-2 employee, don't make enough income for the house that we want on paper, but we can afford it. You might have bonus. Right. You might have bonus overtime, these things that just couldn't be qualified, but you're okay and can do that because you're putting 20% down too. That's something that you would look at.
Okay. Any more programs that you can give us?
We have a bank statement loan program, whether 12 months, 24 months. If you're an investor, I have no income loans, those as well. If you're an investor and doing fix and flips, I have those loans as well.
Wow, we'll be talking.
Yes. I got it all. Even some commercial I can do. So ask me. If you think of it, I most likely can do it. If I can't do it, nobody.
So I will say, what are there things? What things that you commonly come in contact with when it in terms of Black and brown people? What are some common things that keep them from closing when they want to or closing at all?
The two main things that I notice in our community is the credit and the money, having the money to. And it's a tough thing because I will say this: a lot of other races in other communities were taught from young about racism, how important it is. Our community, as we know, Black Wall Street, they knew about it. They rushed and did as hard as they could to build it. But at that time, it wasn't allowed. You know, it was hidden. So for our community, it's really the push of the mindset first of real estate going to help you grow. So I need to, when I get to a million, I got to start somewhere because we'll also go, I want $1 million house right away. That's how it works. Thursday, it's credit, make sure all those experiences, finance is the biggest part. Not knowing the finance. So you yourself, talk to a financial advisor, tell them you're trying to buy, they help you as well.
Ms. Gresham, thank you so much for this time. I knew that despite everything that went on this weekend, that this was going to be a good conversation that we needed to have. Thank you so much for being my second guest on my podcast. And yes, you're my second guest. So I thank you so much for being here. And thank you for all the information. It's been so informative. This has been so, it's packed with information. So I hope that everyone listens to it all the way through. Give us your contact information.
On Instagram, because everybody knows now, it's my first last name, Keyshawn Gresham, K-Y-S-H-O-N, Gresham, M is in Mary, not M. Also, my phone number is 404-857-7953. And my email address is the longest. That's why I call myself and it's so long.
Which state is that?
So I serve as part of primary residence, Georgia, Florida, and Texas. But if you're an investor, I can do over 40 states.
Yep. Thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks everybody for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.